Hello and welcome back to English Literature a Click Away. This video covers a detailed explanation of the poem Amanda by Robin Klein, an Australian author who has authored many children's books. Following the same genre, she has written this poem Amanda, and this poem is such that every teenage boy or girl can relate to Amanda's feelings. So let's see what makes it so interesting and relatable. But before that, do subscribe to the channel English Literature a Click Away. So let's begin. So this poem is divided into 4 stanzas. The poem is about how a teenage mind wanders in thoughts when they are nagged, when they are asked to do something in particular. So that stage of development, the teenage, is such that children do not like to be nagged about, and they don't like being told what is to be done and what is not to be done. As they are stepping away from childhood and they are entering into adulthood, so that phase is very confusing for them. And somebody else, especially people who are constantly around them like their parents or guardians, if they keep nagging around, no doubt that parents and guardians mean well, but children in this stage, they take an escape route and get lost into thoughts. So that is what Amanda does here in this poem. So this poem is more like a conversation between the guardian and the girl Amanda. And as the guardian speaks to her, she does not respond, but she thinks about what she could have done better than being here every time she is being nagged. So it is more like a one-way conversation. And in the first 3 stanzas, you will find that the guardian is instructing Amanda about what she is supposed to do and what she should not do. And that is followed by her thoughts, which are in parentheses, that is, they are in brackets. So lines which are in brackets are actually not spoken there, but those are Amanda's thoughts, which she is not speaking out. So the first stanza: don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. So we can clearly make out in the first 3 lines that Amanda is being told what she's not supposed to do. So the guardian is forbidding her from doing certain things. For example, biting nails, hunching is bending down her shoulders, and slouching is lazily sitting around. And how do we know that? Because we can see the word Amanda that is being emphasized here. So you can see that she is strictly being told not to do that. In the entire poem, we do not know who is speaking these lines. It may be her mother, her father, or her guardian. So we'll take it as her guardian. And the guardian says that don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching. So generally teens do that, children do that. While they are lost in thoughts, they start biting their nails. And don't hunch your shoulders. She's sitting with her shoulders bent. So the guardian is telling her not to bend her shoulders. Stop that slouching. She has a very relaxed posture when she's sitting, very carelessly. So the guardian wants her to sit up straight. Now what effect do these words have on Amanda? Now Amanda is used to this kind of nagging, it seems, because from the first stanza itself, she gets lost in her thoughts. To escape from the nagging or the constant instructions that she's getting, her thoughts drift to some better place, which makes her feel safe. So these lines which are in brackets, these are called parentheses, and these are her thoughts. So she's thinking there is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me. She thinks that there is a sea. Emerald is a gem which is green in color. There's a sea which is as green as an emerald, and it is relaxed. Languid is relaxed, and I'm the only inhabitant there. Soul here means the only one, single one. So soul has a homonym, so soul can also mean sole of a shoe, but here it means single. So she thinks that she is the only inhabitant, or the dweller, the person who lives, resident, and she's the only person living there. And she thinks that she's a mermaid drifting blissfully. So in her thoughts, now she is a mermaid who is drifting blissfully, who is moving along with the movement of water happily, and she's the only one there in that green sea which is very relaxed. So these thoughts of hers this imagination is totally opposite of what she is being expected to do. Because in the lines we see that the guardian doesn't want her to be relaxed, she wants her to be alert and sit up straight and not hunch her shoulders. Whereas in her thoughts, she wants to be in a place which is languid and relaxed, and she wants to move effortlessly like a mermaid moves in a sea. Coming to the second stanza. So the nagging continues. Nagging is continuously getting instructions again and again. So it kind of feels like harassment to the person. So now she gets the instructions again. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. So now these are things which are expected of her. The guardian says that, have you finished your homework? Did you tidy up your room? And I thought I told you to clean your shoes. So you are supposed to do these things. So have you done them yet? So she is being asked whether she has completed those tasks. Now what is her reaction? Again, the next three lines, which are her thoughts, Amanda is not speaking them. Again, her thoughts are totally opposite to what is expected of her. So she thinks, I am an orphan roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. So as opposed to having a guardian, she thinks that now if she was an orphan, so she thinks that she is an orphan now who is roaming the street because she doesn't have to go to school then. And I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. Now this line is the opposite of the line, I thought I told you to clean your shoes. Now she thinks that had I been an orphan, I would have no shoes to clean and I would happily roam around in the street, and I pattern soft dust and I would make patterns. Now this pattern is a verb here, is to make patterns of soft dust, that is footprints on the soft dust, with my hushed bare feet. So hushed is again the opposite of the instructions that she is getting. So she thinks that my feet would be quiet and bare feet, I don't have any shoes on. The silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. Now she thinks that in such a case, had I been an orphan and I would walk the street, I would roam around in the street and I would be able to pattern soft dust with no shoes on. And that kind of silence would be golden. So she is glorifying the silence here. She's thinking that had I been an orphan, there would be no instructions. So there would be nobody nagging me about what to do and what not to do. So she thinks that that kind of silence is golden. It is so the glory of gold has been transferred to silence. She thinks that silence is golden and the freedom is sweet, and that kind of freedom of not having anybody to nag around you, that kind of freedom, I would be so free and it would feel so sweet, or it would feel good. In the third stanza, again the guardian is talking to her and instructing her, saying that don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda? So the guardian realizes that this is one-way conversation and I'm speaking to her, I'm talking to her, I'm instructing her, and she is not paying attention. She is lost in her thoughts. So she says again that don't eat that chocolate. Now Amanda is a teenager, and the guardian says that if you have a lot of chocolates, your acne will aggravate. Acne is pimples that appear during teenage on the skin, especially face. So the guardian says that remember that you have got acne, and so do not eat a lot of chocolate. You're not supposed to eat that. And now she realizes that she's going on giving instructions and Amanda is lost in her thoughts. So that irks her. So the guardian says, look at me when I'm speaking to you. Okay, I'm talking to you, so you should respond, you should look at me. But that doesn't affect Amanda again. So what does she do? Now she's thinking, I am Rapunzel. I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. Now Amanda thinks that she is Rapunzel. Now Rapunzel is a fairy tale character who has very, very long hair, and she has been trapped. She's been locked up in a tower by her stepmother, who's a witch, and with the help of her hair, she had long, beautiful golden hair. And her stepmother, who asks her to let down her hair down the tower so that she can climb up. And she's the only one who can do that. And then she goes there and again nags like this guardian is doing. Later on, Rapunzel is rescued by a charming prince. But why does Amanda want to be Rapunzel? Now she says, I'm Rapunzel. She wants long hair, but she says, I have not a care. Now this I have not a care is in response to the line, will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda? The guardian is asking her to pay attention and she says, I have not a care. She's thinking that because life in tower, she wants to be locked up in the tower and she thinks it would be tranquil and rare. So it would be calm and quiet over there and it would be unlike anything else. She wants to be locked up in such a place where nobody can disturb her or nag her or continuously instruct her. And also she says, I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. If I was Rapunzel, I would never let down my bright hair, she says, so that nobody would climb up and keep instructing me. Coming to the next stanza. Now in these lines, there are no more thoughts. These are the final lines by the guardian. So what does the guardian say? Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You're always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. Now this is actually the truth that the guardian is nagging. She is after Amanda's life. And in spite of that, she says she expects Amanda to pay attention to her and not sulk. Sulking is expressing sorrow and being in a bad mood when somebody is hurt or scolded. So the guardian says that stop that sulking at once. So she says, why are you sulking? Now Amanda is being continuously nagged and instructed, and that is a natural reaction, sulking. But the guardian doesn't want her to do that. She says, stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You're always so moody. And in fact, she calls Amanda moody. She says, your mood keeps changing. Why are you so moody? And look at the final line. So the guardian says, anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. The guardian says that if you behave like this, you keep sulking and being so moody, people would blame me and they would think that I'm the one who keeps nagging you and that is why you are behaving like this. The guardian thinks that it is Amanda's fault that she's not being attentive, she's not doing as instructed, and further she should not even sulk and have those mood swings so that people don't blame the guardian that she is continuously pushing Amanda. So that is kind of an irony because she is actually doing that in the entire poem, and finally in the final line she says that please don't behave like this, otherwise people will think that I am nagging at you. So that was the explanation of the poem. Basically the main theme of the poem is the developmental phase of teenage and the response of a child towards the continuous instruction and the nagging that he or she receives, and how their thoughts are totally opposite to what we expect of them, what the grown-ups expect of them. Coming to the poetic devices, the first stanza has many poetic devices and many poetic devices are repeated in the consecutive stanzas. So let's see. Anaphora. Now anaphora is repetition of a word in the beginning of a line. So we see the word don't is repeated in the first and second line. Assonance. Assonance is occurrence of use of repeated vowel sounds in a line. Remember, it is the vowel sounds, not the vowels. So we see the words yaw and shoulders sound almost similar with the sound of O. Epiphora or epistrophe. Now epistrophe is opposite of anaphora. Anaphora is repetition of words in the beginning of the lines, whereas epistrophe or epiphora is repetition of words in the end of lines or clauses. So we see the word, the name in fact, Amanda is repeated here. So it has been emphasized. So that is how we come to know that these are instructions or this is a kind of nagging. Next one is alliteration. Alliteration is repetition of consonant sounds in the beginning of words in a line. So consonant sounds have to be repeated. So we see the sound made by S is repeated here in stop, slouching, sit and straight. So the sound S has been repeated. That's alliteration. Metaphor. Metaphor we know is the direct comparison of two nouns or their qualities. So emerald sea emerald is the gem, which is green in color. So the sea has been compared to the gem. So it is as green as an emerald. So emerald sea is a metaphor. Imagery. Now imagery is when words create a picture before you. So drifting blissfully, when we say these words drifting blissfully, we can imagine something that is effortlessly moving happily. Now what's illusion? Illusion is mention of a well-known character, it can be an animal or a human being. So here we have mention of a mermaid. So mermaid is a creature which is well known, so hence illusion is used here. And as we saw earlier that these words which are in brackets, parentheses, are not actually spoken by Amanda, but those are Amanda's thoughts. Poetic devices of stanza 2. Again there's anaphora like the previous stanza, and there's also epistrophe. Amanda is repeated at the end of the lines. Assonance. Now assonance in the lines you and shoes. So the sound made by OU and OE here is the same vowel sound. So hence it is assonance. Metaphor again. So this line, silence is golden. So silence is as good as gold, as glorious as gold. So that there's a direct comparison between silence and gold, and freedom and sweetness. So when she says the freedom is sweet, that means it is as good, it is as wonderful as sweetness. So she likes that freedom. Next, the poetic devices in stanza 3. So there's again epistrophe or epiphora. So Amanda is repeated in the end of the first 3 lines. Now there's assonance again in the 3rd line. So there's assonance in you and look, and there's assonance of the repetition of E sound in please, me and speaking. There's a long E pronunciation here by the vowels. Illusion again. Now there's mention of Rapunzel here, which is again a well-known fairy tale character. So there's illusion, and there's consonance. Consonance is like alliteration, only the consonant sound may be present anywhere in the word. So like in alliteration we have the consonant sound which is repeated in the beginning of the words. But here we see the R sound is repeated in these words here, which are not necessarily in the beginning of the word. Tower, tranquil, rare, bright hair. So this is consonance. Poetic devices in the 4th stanza. So there's alliteration in stop and sulking, and again epistrophe in Amanda. So those are the poetic devices. So questions that can be expected from the poem can be definitely based on extract. It's an important poem because it's relatable. You may expect questions based on critical thinking about how the words of the Guardian have no effect, or have the opposite effect on Amanda's thoughts. How her thoughts drift into imagination, which is totally the opposite of what she is expected to do in reality. You may be asked poetic devices also in the extract-based questions. And also this line, this silence is golden and the freedom is sweet. You may be expected to explain this line, what it means, and how she feels that silence is golden, and why does she feel that freedom is sweet. Why is freedom sweet to her? So that is all about the poem Amanda. Please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned to English Literature a Click Away. Happy learning.